Hey, welcome again. So far we have talked about React and we have ingested these two CDN links in our index.html file, right? But now you must be wondering that, okay, we have ingested them, but how am I going to prove that, okay, now React is ingested, right? So for that, what I will do is I'll just go to my browser over here, right? This particular HTML file is completely empty because you can see we do not have anything in the div, we do not have anything in the body, so it's completely bare, empty, right? So now here in our console, right? What I will do, I'll just write React, just like that. And as soon as I write React and I press enter, you see I have been served with an object. Inside this object, you can see a lot of properties and a lot of methods, right? Children component, fragment, profile, appear component, and so many methods and properties are over here, right? There is use ref, use ID, use reducer, use effect, all of these things. So these are actually hooks. Basically, we'll talk about hooks later, right? But they are very powerful feature of React, right? So that you must remember. So now this actually says that, okay, when I write React, I'm actually served with all of these properties and methods. So now I'm actually able to use these properties in my index.html file. Similarly, if I go over here and if I write React DOM like that, and if I click on enter, so now again I've been served with an HTML file, sorry, an object, and over here I have all of these objects: create portal, create route, hydrate, render, all of these things. Right? These are all the methods and properties that we'll be using to communicate with the DOM with the help of React DOM. Right? So like that. Great. So we actually have all of these features with us, right? For both React DOM and React. So now we are able to use both of them. All right. So now if you see one more interesting thing over here, you will find this object, right? Secret internals do not use or you will be fired, right? So this is maybe some secured code that they have kept. So basically, yes, do not do anything with that. All right. So great. Yes. But this actually shows that now we'll be able to use React and React DOM. All right. So let's move forward to our VS Code. And over here, what was our problem? Our problem was to actually write hello from React and to display this on our browser, right? So let's start with it. So what is React? React is JavaScript. So to start writing React code, right? Okay, so now this is the big time. We're going to write our first React code. Okay, so this is JavaScript, right? So we'll again open a script tag like that. Simply a script tag. And inside the script tag, we'll now start writing some React code. So basically, what is the first step that we do when we work with JavaScript? We create our element, right? So in React also, we will first create our element. And to create element with the help of React, now we'll not be using document, but we'll be using React. So React dot create element, something like that, right? And now this is actually coming out from React. So let's see what this create element actually does. So I'll again write React over here, and I'll now try to explore the create element function method. So inside this create element, you can see that this actually, no, this is clone element, this is create element. So inside this create element, it actually accepts three props. One is type, one is props, one is children, right? So you may have figured out what type is and what children is, but we'll actually talk about props a little later, right? So what is type? Type is basically what kind of an element you want to create, right? So let's pass it the type. So we want to create an h1, right? What is the second parameter it takes? It takes props. So I'll just pass an empty object right now, right? Just let it be empty. I do not want to discuss props right now. Okay. And the third thing was children. So in React, basically, you cannot directly pass inner HTML and an h1 tag. So you can pass that on as children. So children are basically just children's, right? So inside this h1, you can just pass whatever content you want as its children. So it will be under that. All right. So that's what children is basically. We'll talk about children's more. There are so many things that we need to talk. But right now, if you want to pass the content for this h1, you can pass this in the children parameter. So let's pass it over here. So I'll just pass hello from React, something like that, right? So basically, this is how you are actually going to create an element in React, right? So your element has been created. Now, what is the second step? Second step is actually to identify the root, right? So actually signify or basically say that, okay, this particular div is my root. Start from here, right? So we need to actually refer to our root. We actually need to have a root. So how we are going to have a root? So I'll just again write const root, and now we will be making use of React DOM. right? React DOM. React DOM. Why React DOM? Because if you see, we're creating a root, and root is going to get attached to the DOM. Exactly. That is actually going to be a part of the DOM. So that's why we're using React DOM, so that we can communicate with the DOM. Right. So over here, you can also see that if you want to go to React DOM, if you just go over here and if you write React DOM, I'll just write it for you. Let's refresh this once. Right, so over here you can see secret internals do not use, and inside this you will see create root, this particular method we are using to actually create our root. Right, so React DOM dot create root, this method we are going to use, right? This method create root, and inside create root we have to specify that what particular element we want to have as our root, right? So we can again use document, right? React DOM document dot get element by ID, and inside this ID I can just pass this particular ID, that is your root ID, ROOT, that's it, right? And this will actually create your root for you, right? So now this particular root, that is my div, this particular div is my root of the whole React application, right? And inside this, now what I want my h1 to be in. So what I can do, I can use root dot render. Yes, over here we do not have append child method like that. We can just directly render, right? We have this render method, and what we need to render, we need to render the message. I'll just write message. So now what will happen, we have created an element h1, and over here we have this particular prop, right? Not need to worry about this. Then we have this hello from React, then we basically have root, and inside this root this h1 will get created and root.render, so this h1 will get rendered, this whole message element will get rendered over here inside my root, and root is div. So now I must see an h1 inside this root, and now this must be created with the help of React. This must have been created with the help of React, right? Let's see this. So if I go right now, yes, I see hello from React, right? So congratulations, you have written your first React code, right? Let's go to our elements, and over here as well, you can see inside this div, you have hello from React, and this is the script that you actually wrote, right? So this is how you can actually start with React. This is how you can actually start writing React code with the help of CDN. So in the next lecture, we'll actually move forward with this CDN React app only, but we'll also identify some problems, and then we'll see that why this should not be the way to write React code, and then we'll talk about our build tools. So we'll be talking about Vite or CRA or stuff like that, right? So I'll see you on the next lecture. Thank you.